Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're doing a Q&A. So we're just gonna have a really chit-chatty, down-to-earth chit-chat about things that are, you know, going on, the questions that y'all had over on Instagram. If you're not following, it's at becca.e.davis. So definitely follow, because then you know things like this. This time's questions were really funny because they were super focused. Do you see all my Halloween stuff out? They were like super focused. You'll see what I mean in a second, but really there's like two things that y'all really wanted to know. So we're going to talk a lot about selling on places that are not TPT, and we're talking a lot about like my job situation, because those were the two top questions that I had. But first, we're gonna make a cup of coffee because it's been a long day. I really want to use this mug. By the time you watch this, it's not gonna be too early, but I'm in a very like Thanksgiving-y outfit. It's really cold outside, but can we rock that? We might just do it anyway. I'm having a really fancy snack at the moment. This is a Wooldridge family special. That's my mom's maiden name. She taught me this really fancy recipe. You need two things. First, you need graham crackers. You take the graham cracker and you take some icing. Put the icing on the graham cracker and then you eat it. Now it's traditionally done with chocolate icing, but I didn't have chocolate, but I did have some cream cheese icing, so we're gonna do cream cheese. And then at the end, you have to lick the knife. Yes, my mother taught me to lick the knife. So, you know, there's that. Waste not, want not, right? Okay, let's make some coffee. Oh, I got my red cup this today. It's fun. Make some coffee and then let's chit chat. Let's chit chat. Yum. Oh, before we start, I did want to say one thing, and that is that when we go to my office, I'm going to show you, I have a ton of Christmas decor out. We're about to decorate this weekend. By the time you see this, it'll already have happened for Christmas. And if you are interested in more like Christmassy lifestyle kind of content, go subscribe on Becca Davis Vlogs. I'll link it down below. But I started a new channel last year where we have lots of vlogs. We talk a lot about like planning and goals and that kind of stuff over there on that one, and it's really fun at Christmas. That's actually why I started it last year, was for Vlogmas. So we're gonna do Vlogmas this year. We're gonna be vlogging the whole month of December, or at least until Christmas. And then in addition, there's like Christmas decor and house stuff and just lots of, you know, fun baking cookies and Christmassy things. So I love Vlogmas. It's one of my favorite things of the year, so definitely go subscribe if that's something you're into, and if not, then you can just hang out here and that's fine too. All right, you go get some coffee, I'll get some coffee, and I will meet you in my office. So after this, I'm about to film a Christmas decor haul. Yeah, this happened. This happened. And it's not all of it. It was a lot more. Although I feel like it looks like a lot, but a lot of these pieces are like just bigger. Right? I don't know. These are Nyla's toys. This is Nyla. I'm gonna clean this up and then we'll get started. All right, so I've got my coffee, and one more thing before I forget. It's almost December, which means that my goal setting course is coming back. So if you missed it last year, the goal setting course is a kind of a mini course. It's not very long, that talks all about how to set goals, how to actually achieve them, how to make a plan for the year, how to like just make everything figure outable for the next year. And it's very like comprehensive, very easy to implement, and it's not very long. It's pretty short, and it is only available for the months of December and January. So if that's something that you're looking for, you want to make sure next year is like your best year ever, then definitely go and check that out. Let's talk about some questions that y'all have had. These were really funny. Normally my questions that I get are like all over the place, and these were very specific, so I thought that was just hilarious. So we're just gonna go like from the top to the bottom. Science by Sinai said, what do you think of the TPT copycat sites such as Made by Teachers or Classful? Honestly, at this point, I don't know a ton about them, but I, as many of you are, am currently researching them.
I have decided that for 2023, one of my projects is going to be to start listing products on other platforms and to just see how they go. This is kind of spurred out of not just the algorithm, but spurred mostly out of the fact that I have been doing this on TPT. So my Becca's Bible class resources, I started putting onto Etsy, and at first it was really slow. I didn't market it at all, but also my Bible class one, is also still, growing, but there's been a definite uptick. There have been more sales recently from my Etsy shop for that, and I have even had like some months where Etsy was higher than TPT, or I had one month they were like exactly the same, which was super weird. I don't market it all to Etsy, it's just purely from traffic. And so I was, after doing this for about a year, I think it was November of last year that I started, I was like, okay, well, if it's working for that, then maybe it'll work for my music stuff too. So I had already planned to start doing it on there, and then all this stuff happened and people started talking about other things like TES and Classful and those kind of things. So I'm looking into some of them. I'm not gonna do all of them, but I wanted to try a couple of them, start posting my things on there and just see what works and see what is selling, and whatever ends up working I will stick with. If it's not worth my time, then I won't worry. What I do on Etsy is I literally just, when I post my Bible class resources, I copy and paste the description and then I stick it up on Etsy. Like copy and paste the title, copy and paste the description. The only thing I change is Etsy has different like photo things, and so instead of having 3 thumbnails you have like 10 photos. So I just take all my photos. I actually, because the iPhone, tell me if you know how to change this, iPhone puts photos into this stupid format. It's like HEIC or something, and most websites will not accept that as a format. And so like I can't upload things straight from my phone to TPT because it doesn't accept that format. Same thing with Etsy, and so I'm always like having to do an extra step. So what I do now is I just go through, I add 10 photos into a Canva presentation that's like the Etsy size, which you can just Google, that's what I did. And then I just stick the photos in there and download them as JPEGs, and then I upload those onto Etsy, and that's, takes like 5 minutes, like not very long. So the whole process is really, really quick. And again, I don't do any marketing. It's purely like, okay, I already made these resources. If they're gonna sell here, then I can make some extra money. It only took 5 minutes, and that's literally all that I have to do and all that I'm gonna do. Now, would they do better on Etsy if I did promote them and do all that stuff? Yes, but I'm not going to. For now at least, TPT is my main, and so that's what I'm after. So I recently started thinking, hey, let's put my music stuff onto my Etsy shop because I already have a Becca's Music Room Etsy. I did actually recently take all of my other listings down except for like one digital download, because I used to do, if you're familiar, I used to do like recorder bags and ukulele bags and some like, oh my gosh, my absolute favorite, what I take to choir, is my like sheet music size bags. They're the perfect size for taking the like music books to vocal lessons or violin lessons or whatever you're doing. Loved them, and I loved that, and I had a lot of fun, but it just became such a bother. Like I wouldn't be happy when someone purchased something. I'd be irritated because then I had to make it, and it took time out of my day, and it was just like this whole big thing. Especially now, just being so busy, having like those things that suck up my time just aren't great. So I took all those things out, and I'm planning to start, actually I tried to put a product into my Etsy, and the file size was too big. So the file does have to be smaller than on TPT, so I'm gonna have to navigate that. And then I was like, well, let's try a couple others. So I'm kind of looking into which ones I want to try at the moment. I have a couple of ideas, but need to do a little more research and have not had a moment to do that. So I'm looking for December. I usually don't put too much on my plate because I have Vlogmas. So I don't plan on doing, too many products or too many other things. Especially because teachers aren't, teaching for 2 weeks. And so I really try to take those 2 weeks where like I am vlogging, but I'm really working on like things that I don't have time for, like researching and looking at things and planning and doing that kind of stuff during that winter break time. So I'm kind of looking forward to that and looking at next year of doing that. So what do I think? I think if people are on there and they're buying stuff, then that's great. Similar question. Kid Equip NZ, I'm assuming that's New Zealand, said, wanting to put my TPT resources on my own website, freaked out about tax, any help? my best advice is to hire a tax professional because tax is super confusing, especially sales tax. So when you look at selling on your own website, you have to look at sales tax. You have to look at sales tax. So your state is probably, and research all this because it's going to be different everywhere. Your state is probably going to require you to report sales tax. You are also, if TPT does not remit your state, then you are supposed to be already doing that. And so you'll need like a sales tax number and to register and pay there. And then there are other states that also require sales tax if someone makes a purchase in those states, and it depends on what state. And then they have like different thresholds for how much you have to make in that state before you pay sales tax, and honestly it's just super confusing. So my best suggestion is just to go hire somebody to help you with that. If that's not a possibility, then I would say do your research and figure out what states require what you need to sign up for. But like, that is not a place that you want to mess up, so make sure that you are doing your research on that so that you are not messing it up. But yeah, my best advice, hire someone. A Ven says, where do you find time to do all that stuff? Well, you know, there's 24 hours in a day and I really try to make the most of it. So I work on TPT this morning. I worked on my next set of write the room activities. Then I go to work all day and then I come home and I work on TPT some more. So depending on the day, I have different things that I do. Today was filming. Obviously I have not been filming much lately. It's been really difficult to find time to film. So today I'm filming. When these couple of videos are done, I'm gonna go upstairs and paint some ornaments for a craft fair my mom and I are doing. Then it'll probably be time to eat dinner. I just got a text from my husband requesting pizza, which means I don't have to cook. Yay. Always a plus in my book. And then I'll probably sit on the couch and work on those write the room activities this evening, pretty much till I go to bed. So that's kind of the gist of how I make things work. It's honestly just really maximizing your time. And yes, I do chill and I do take a break. Yesterday I took a bath in the middle of the day. It was great, excellent, wonderful. But just really thinking through like the best use of your time. And unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit it, I can't get everything done, which has been a whole big thing this year. I feel like this is the year of like, you can't do everything, Becca, and I really am not enjoying that lesson. Like, but I want to. Why can't I? Not a fan. Tabitha Young 27 said, what are other platforms are there to sell your TPT products? Okay, so Teachers Pay Teachers, Etsy. Oh, do be aware though that all of these different platforms are going to have different audiences. So for example, on Etsy, it I have found really is geared more towards like homeschooled people tend to go to Etsy, but like teachers like in a classroom don't necessarily go to Etsy for teaching resources, if that kind of makes sense. They go more for like physical products, maybe posters, but in my experience, that's what I have noticed. So just be aware that just because something does well on TPT does not necessarily mean it's going to do well in a different place. And so even as I'm looking at Etsy, I'm looking more at like, what can I sell that are going to be good for like piano teachers, or, you know, people doing like one-on-one, like a homeschooled mom and her kid, versus on TPT, everything is geared towards elementary teachers where it's, you know, 1 to 30 versus 1 to 1. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So Etsy, TES is one. I've heard mixed reviews about it, but I haven't tried it. Classful is another one. That one I am looking into and interested in. I have found not many of these tend to have music stuff, so I'm not sure if it's like, oh, if you get in then it's gonna be like early, or if it's gonna be like, you know, it's not on there and no one cares. But I figured my my thought is kind of just like, let's try things out and see, you know, see what happens. Try things out and see what happens is kind of my master plan. Teach Simple is another one. There's an Amazon marketplace, but I've heard that that one's kind of funky as well. Amazon Ignite, that's the one that it's called. Boom cards are really good, especially if you have more like task cards or Google Slides kind of resources. Those can easily get converted to boom cards. I do sell on boom cards, but I really need to update. I have just not been adding that many, which I would like to. And then Made by Teachers is another one that I hear quite a bit. Now, again, I have not tried any of these, so I don't know about how they are. If you have experience with any of them, selfishly, I would like to know what happens. And then, you know, unselfishly, everybody else is also, like, we're all thinking about that at the moment. So if you have experience with any of those, just let me know what that experience is down below in the comments. Do remember that just because it's one person's experience doesn't mean it's everyone's experience. So just, you know, bear that in mind as you are looking. Hello. Hello. Ooh, don't drop my coffee. Hi. She just like, I mean, legit, she just climbs on my lap and sticks her head in my face and is like, give me attention. She is like a little over 1 now. She's very energetic. She loves Tolly and has a hard time climbing on things. I think she's trying to climb up and having a hard time. And she's very noisy. So anyway, Kimberly's Classroom said, would you ever consider running your businesses full-time? Similar question from Science by Scratch and lots of other people. That was a big question lots of people asked was, are you planning on leaving teaching soon? All sorts of that kind of stuff. People always phrase it, have you ever considered doing this? Yes, I have considered it. Right now it's November, it's 2 days before break, and so I'm considering it a lot, especially during certain grade levels who shall remain nameless, that just frustrate me every single day. Every single day. But the short answer is I'm not currently looking to take my business full-time. Although monetarily it could support us full-time. I don't know. I just don't feel ready for that. I don't know that that's what I am currently wanting out of my life. I am eventually wanting that out of my life, but I don't know when that will be. Just like right now when I look at like, you know, what I want my life to look like, what I want my days to look like, that's not quite what I'm after yet. I do think long-term that'll be the plan, but just not yet. And then Science from Scratch said, what do you want to accomplish before feeling comfortable leaving the classroom? Which I assume she means, you know, like, what do I want to accomplish in the business and stuff like that. So if you're looking and thinking about leaving the classroom, what I would suggest to you would be what I was thinking originally of, which is you want to make sure that your TPT income can consistently surpass your teaching income. And if you're going on this journey, just FYI, don't spend both of these incomes. So what I mean by that is that we actually recently switched to, instead of paying our bills with my teaching salary, every month I am putting in money out of the business into our account that goes towards paying the bills. And then we take all that money that I get from teaching, and we're currently paying off debt and putting money into savings. And so if you are looking at doing something similar, that's what I would suggest, is doing that. So you're not spending both incomes, because then you get used to both and then you have to take a pay cut when you quit. So financially, that is kind of what I would suggest, is make sure you have that. Also financially, what I was looking at, and also, you know, husband and I were talking, we've been really trying to pay off debt. So that's been a big thing, because I don't want as many monthly bills if my income is less consistent. I always have in the back of my mind, in 2020 when the pandemic hit and my sales went to 0 because I had nothing digital and everyone was freaking out. And so like that's always in the back of my head, like that could happen again. You have no idea what's gonna happen. And I got out of that, so like I know that I would be okay, but just making sure that maybe you don't have as many monthly bills, because then you don't have to bring in as much money. And then also having money in reserve, so having a really good emergency fund, so that if something crazy happens and you don't make as much money as you think, then you have a backup plan. So as far as like what I want to accomplish, those would be the main things. But the reason I say that I'm not ready to leave the classroom is just because I still find a lot of joy in teaching, and I still really enjoy it. Actually teaching, actually, you know, playing games with my students and teaching them and seeing them learn, like it's so much fun and I really enjoy it most of the time. What I'm not currently enjoying and what's frustrating me is my lack of time. How I feel like I spend all day at school. I mean, I literally do. I spend all day at school and then I come home and it's like, especially now the time changed, and so I'm like, it's the middle of the night when I get home, even though it's not, you know, it's not any later, but it feels so much later now that the sun is gone. And just being like, I've, you know, I've taken on more responsibility at church. And so like, I would love to have more time to spend on that. So the lack of time is really frustrating to me. And then the exhaustion, like, y'all, non-teachers do not understand how exhausting it is, especially at my school. It's so tiring. It's so tiring. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. Like even on a good day, it's still exhausting. And so those things frustrate me. And then what else frustrates me is how much time in my day I'm not teaching, because there's so many other things that music teachers end up doing. I have so many duty posts and just things like that, that it's like, you know, sitting there being like staring at kids eating lunch, or, you know, getting them out the door, and I'm like, I could be home making products. Like I could be, you know, doing these things that I actually care about, instead I'm like bored out of my mind. Or, oh my gosh, cleaning up fruit cup spills all the time because we only eat in the classroom some days of the week. Or yesterday a kid threw up during lunch duty and I was just like, so those are the things that's frustrating me. But when I'm actually teaching, like I enjoy that and we have a lot of fun, and I've been finding a lot of joy in the actual teaching. It's just like, I feel like it's such a minuscule part of my day. So all that to say, that's the reason that I'm not wanting to leave the classroom, not necessarily a monetary thing. That viral teacher said, not a question, but I'm excited for your 2023 planning videos. Me too, those are my favorite. If you have planning suggestions, leave them down below. And then I think the last question for the day is also about my job, because y'all were apparently very curious. That's from Emanuelis. I don't know. I hate saying names out loud. And that says, would you ever move closer to your school or switch schools so you're closer to home? Possibly. I don't think we'll move closer to my school. I'm not sure that I would move closer to my school. And as far as moving to a different school, it's really hard as a music teacher because there's only one per school, and so it's really hard to know like who's leaving and what jobs are coming open and what's available in the right time. Like there was a position I would have actually really liked that was closer to my home, but it didn't come open until like July, and by July it's too late because your principal, within the county, the principal has to like release you from your job, so it just came too late. So there's just a lot of factors that go into that. So the answer is yes, I would consider it. I don't know whether or not that will happen. We're just gonna see. It's only November, so at the moment I'm just kind of like trying to take things one step at a time. And right now my goal is just to get through December, and then once January hits, then we'll start talking and thinking about other things. So that's my spiel, y'all. Yeah, we really had like essentially 2 questions, so that was really interesting and on. Anyway, I would love to hear more from you. So if you have a question that I didn't answer today, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's at becca.e.davis. Feel free to send me a DM. That's probably the best way to reach me. I am in there pretty much every day or every other day, so I'm pretty good at getting back to you over there if you have a question that did not get answered. And yeah, thank y'all for being here. I can't believe I don't know what it is about December, but headed into Vlogmas always makes me like really sentimental about like all the Vlogmas is past. And I know this isn't technically a Vlogmas video because it's not even on the right channel, but still, I just have been feeling very sentimental lately. So I really appreciate all of you, especially if you've been around for a long time and know I see your name, I know you, and I really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, have an excellent holiday season and I'll see you next time. Bye.